What's up guys, RedBeard here today. Today we're going to be talking about Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's the new Fire Emblem game that's set to release on the Nintendo Switch this coming spring 2019. I, like probably many other Fire Emblem fans, are excited for this because we haven't gotten really a console Fire Emblem game for quite a while now. They've mostly just been on 3DS with Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates. So I, like many others, are looking forward to Fire Emblem Three Houses. But there is some things that I'd like to see from it, and I just like to make this video to kind of get my thoughts and opinions out there, and to hear your guys's as well. So, Fire Emblem Three Houses, it looks like there's going to be three kind of like main factions probably that you can join up with. And of those factions, there's kind of like three heads of each faction. The first being Eldegard von Freisberg. The second is Dmitry Alexander Bladud. And the third is Claude von Reagan. Interesting names, I suppose. They definitely have some German and some kind of Latin roots in there, as well as I think Von. Yeah, Von's like a German like lord title name or something like that. So interesting. We'll just have to see where that takes us. It might mean that the series is taking some more inspiration from Germany and kind of like maybe some of the Germanic armies that we saw after the fall of the Roman Empire in our real history time. It might be based off of that. I'm sure you're aware, in Fire Emblem Fates, the one family was very strongly based off of Japanese, and so maybe these three houses are going to be like based on three sort of barbarian Germanic tribes, kind of like the Saxons and the Franks or something like that. Be interesting to see. So yeah, I watched the trailer. The combat looks cool. I've been wishing that they would have kind of other troops around your character to make the battles a bit more lively. That does mean it's going to take away kind of some of the individualistic kind of battle points, maybe. And I'll explain that in a second here. I hope there's more meaningful strategy in this game. I don't know if they had like stuff like height advantage in Fire Emblem Fates. I don't remember. I don't really think so. I think it was kind of really one-dimensional battles. And I kind of miss having like terrain advantages and bonuses on the battlefield. And I think if they incorporated that a little heavier, kind of like they had in Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, it would be really good. So if you were really high up, you would have a really like strong height advantage, and the people below you would be hardly able to hit you with anything, just about. And I kind of really like that, because if you played smart and defensively, you would get rewarded if it called for it. And if you just rushed in any position willy-nilly while they had the high ground, you would get punished pretty hard. And I like that. I wish we can see more of that. I wish we had, this is where we come back around to that point. I wish we have better and more interesting battles. I like rooting the enemy just as much as probably any other Fire Emblem fan. Battling all the enemy troops and then having like the one-on-one duel with your favorite character with the big boss enemy at the end. Like, I love that. It's a good formula, but it was overused to hell and back in both Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates. Conquest, not so much, but there was a lot of it in Conquest as well. And I think if we got some more varied mission types, like if you have to, like, I'm probably going to go back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn here, but having like defense battles, having battles where you have to go in and assassinate a character and get out before like reinforcements overwhelm you, having battles where you have to just like plain survive and then flee, or having like some rescue battles where you have to go in and rescue like captives and then get out of there. Like, I wish we had some more varied battle types than just like rooting the enemy over and over again. Because I mean, like, the direct combat stuff is fun, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of just getting sick of like the same formula over and over again, just throwing yourself at the enemies, killing the boss. Like, let's get some new stuff in here. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate seeing it in Three Houses. So yeah, that's what I mean when I'm looking for some better combat. I hope Three Houses has a good story. I kind of liked all the Awakening and the Fate stories. They weren't like amazing, I don't think. Like, they were pretty good, but yeah, I don't think they were like amazing. They could have been better. There's room for improvement. So on this topic of story, I hope they don't split up the story into 3 paths and make us pay for each of them again. I mean, they already split up the story for Fire Emblem Fates into 3 different things, and I didn't really like that very much. I feel like there wasn't, I mean, if you're paying like $80 Canadian, $60 American for a game, I think you should get quite a bit of content. And I think if you bundled like Conquest, Fates, and the third path that I never got around to playing because I just didn't feel like buying it, all together in the one $80 package or $60 package, I think fans would really appreciate that. Because I mean, it is a different story, but you're reusing like so many of the same assets to make that story, the same characters, the same locations and everything. So it doesn't feel too varied. I mean, it's not as egregious as Pokemon, where Pokemon's like, hey, we're gonna change like 2 Pokemon that you can catch that are different in this region, and you're gonna have to pay $80 for both versions, right? It's not that bad yet, but I have a feeling that they will split up these 3 houses into 3 separate kind of paths or games or whatever you want to call it, and you're probably gonna have to pay $60 or $80 Canadian for one, and then maybe $30, $40, $20 if you want another after the fact. And I don't know. I feel like it would be more consumer friendly if they bundled this all together, like I said. But I have a feeling they might not do that. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they want to make money, but I feel like they're definitely gating off content that we probably have paid for. So they said that the character and battle animations are supposed to like look more realistic, and I'm kind of thankful for that. The last couple Fire Emblems, the character models were pretty good, I have to say, for the 3DS, but they were kind of floppy and a little bit sometimes gross looking, and some animations just didn't have the impact that they felt they deserved. So if we get some tighter, more realistic animations when things are happening, I think that's a really good thing. Like, for example, like Corrin's dragon in Fire Emblem Fates, it's just such a floppy, kind of disgusting looking model, and its attack animations are just nasty. Not that like the dragon itself couldn't have been cool, but I don't know what they were going for there. But I think I'm not sure if I speak for like a lot of Fire Emblem fans, but it's like, no, please don't do that. And the fucking knights and generals too, they've looked pretty shitty from Awakening to Fates. if you've played some of the earlier Fire Emblem games, the generals are always these big, bulky, scary motherfuckers that you never wanted to get into their range because they would just make your life a living hell. And the armor they wore always looked so cool. And then now in Fates and Awakening, they nerfed the coolness of the knights and they looked pretty derpy, to be honest. So please make the generals and knights look good if they're in this game. They've long overdue their rework here. As far as permadeath goes, I don't care if they put in an easy mode where there's no permadeath. I'm not one of those Fire Emblem people that's oh, you have to play with permadeath on, it'll feel so much better. Yeah, I'm not really in that camp. I don't care how you play it. And if they include that mode, that's just fine to me. There's going to be more of this relationship system in this game, and they're going to tie it into negotiations. And I think that's going to be better for the series because it's kind of been implemented in this kind of creepy way where you kind of, especially in the Japanese versions, where you got to take whoever it was to your treehouse and touch them. That's kind of weird. Not really very mature. I can see how that would attract some people to the game, but I don't think it really benefits very much. So I'd be glad if they had a more mature and meaningful relationship system with some bonuses that weren't just straight up a perverted mess. And if they integrate this negotiation system between, I'm assuming, what is the Three Houses in a good way, then I think that'll help the series as a whole, and perhaps they'll get a little bit more respect in that regard. And finally, just kind of a personal preference thing, I hope they include some of the Manakete or Manakete and maybe some Lagoos type fighters in this game. I always kind of liked some of the anthropomorphic characters in Fire Emblem. I think it's just really cool watching a giant eagle just fly over and fucking eat somebody's horse, and or cooking someone as a dragon with your fire breath after you transform right in front of them. It's if you just imagine everyone ganging up on this small old man, he lifts up this stone, transforms into this big fuck off black dragon. Yeah, that just makes me smile thinking about it. So I hope they include some characters like that. I just like watching these characters fuck shit up because it's hilarious and badass. So I hope to see some Lagoos-ish fighters, because we got Caden the fox and the bunny girl from Awakening, but some more is always welcome, I think. So anyway, that's just some of my thoughts on Fire Emblem Three Houses. If you have thoughts of your own, feel free to share them in the comments below, and we'll have a good discussion down there. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time. Have a good day.